The other thing that I wanted to just touch on briefly is the condition of this year's garden for us. It turned out to be nearly a total failure. We had some success with the green beans, some success with the jalapeno peppers, not so much the bell peppers, but the jalapenos came in pretty good. So with the green beans, I think we put up maybe 36 pints of green beans. And we use pints because there's just the two of us here. I'd can it in quarts if I was going to be feeding more people. But for the foreseeable future, it's just my wife and me. So a pint makes a meal, and that's okay. The peppers, I think I touched on before and did a previous video about making cowboy candy out of them, and you really got to check that one out. It's kind of fun. It's called Canning with Wine, so you may want to check into that other video. But I was so disappointed in our tomato crop this year. We put in, I think, 35 or 36 tomato plants. And we grew the seedlings from seed, started in the early part of, maybe the middle of February, got the seeds going, got the seedlings growing, all indoors, under the grow lights, all that kind of stuff. Got them up so that they were big enough. Once the good weather got here and the danger of frost passed, which doesn't take too long in North Carolina, we got them all planted, filled up 4 by 8 raised beds with tomato plants. And in the very early stages, they really started taking off. Blossoms would come up. They were growing, had to put the cages around them, tie them up, all that kind of stuff. And we got an extra, way too much extra water. And I think that kind of slowed them down. And once that very heavy, wet period left us, we just entered into a period where the temperatures were soaring, absolutely astronomical. It wouldn't cool down more than 75, 77 degrees at night, and we'd be up in the high 90s, low 100s during the day, and that went on for a long, long time. Very little rain. I drained our water tote at least once and filled it back up the one time it did rain, or at least got it 3/4 full. And the squirrels invaded. One of my commenters on a previous video said, hey, you know, those squirrels are hungry. They're thirsty is really what the problem is. They're thirsty, and they're going after your tomatoes because they've got moisture in them. And it's much easier for them to get that and get a little nutrition out of them than it is to just drink water or find it elsewhere. So they're raiding your garden. We've tried everything to keep them out of here. My wife got a new BB gun. She was shooting at them every time they'd pop up in the garden. So either that or they died of lead poisoning, one or the other. But by the time harvest time really got here, the end of July, first part of August, we didn't really have any tomatoes left. From the ones that the squirrels didn't eat, the plants had died, withered up, couldn't hold the moisture anymore, and we got pretty much zero production. We may have had a dozen small tomatoes that actually ripened, and we had to go pick them early, bring them in and let them ripen in on the kitchen window sill so that they could actually ripen up indoors, or the squirrels would get them. Well, anyway, lessons learned. Going to try to figure out how we can do this a little bit better next year. We ended up having to go to the farmer's market and got 4 big boxes of tomatoes, which we canned up into pasta sauce and regular canned tomatoes. I think we got about a dozen quarts of pasta sauce and probably 24 quarts of canned tomatoes out of those 4 boxes that we got from the farmer's market. So if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be eating pasta, we wouldn't be having tomatoes, we wouldn't have pretty much anything going this year. Total failure. hoping next year is going to be better. Going to work on the soil, going to work on the some indirect watering kind of a system over the winter. Got to do a lot of research on that to see what we can do to actually keep that ground as moist as it needs to be without overwatering it. And I think that was one of the early on issues that affected the tomato crop. So there really isn't anything left in the garden except the raised beds. There's probably 3 tomato plants left. We got some carrots. We got some onions that are waiting to come up. We've got some sweet potatoes over there that we're trying to get taken care of. That's going to take another couple, 3 or 4 weeks for them to go through that full growth cycle. So we'll be harvesting them probably in September, October, somewhere around in there, once we can make sure that they've fully matured and really started growing the right sweet potatoes. So that's it for our garden update. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always. Out for now.